Hey everyone, this is Emily, and today I am with my friend Jeff, along with Dav Kaufman from Dav Kaufman's Reptile Adventures.
What's going on, guys?
We are down in southern Minnesota, where there is a huge diversity of reptiles. We are primarily looking for the timber rattlesnake out in the rocky outcrops, but we're going to have to do a lot of climbing to get to those.
1,000-foot bluffs, and they're at the top of them, but this is Minnesota's only native rattlesnake species.
It'll be an adventure for sure, and then we'll see what else we can find afterwards.
There's a lot of cool stuff down here, so...
Fingers crossed we find a timber rattler.
Yes.
During our herping adventure today, I'm going to be trying out this new product. These are Razer Gaiters, and they are a type of snake gaiter. Now what these do is they protect your lower legs and your feet from snake bites, supposedly, and they are made of 13 sections of polycarbonate plastic. So these will wrap around, and one size fits most generally. I have two of them here, one for each leg, of course. And what you do with these is you just line them up on your shins, wrap them around, buckle them up, tighten, and then you are good to go. They seem really sturdy, they're water resistant, very heavy duty material, so I think these are going to be fun to try out today. We found our first herp. A little toad! Wait, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. There he goes.
First snake of the day.
Sweet! Little garter snake.
Snake of the day. You know, it's the garter snake that keeps herpers from getting skunked.
Yep.
It always comes to save the day.
Cutie.
He is.
Ironically, they
Good
smell
looking.
skunky.
And they smell skunky.
Sweet, finally.
Oh, awesome. All
A
right.
snake.
First
There's
snake of
something.
the day.
Woohoo!
All right. Garter. Oh, caught a garter.
That's awesome.
All right, little dude. I'll quit bothering you now. Oh, score! Oh. Check it out. Oh, you're sassy too. We have another garter snake here, and she's actually pretty thick. It looks like she may be gravid or pregnant in the reptile world.
If you look at some of these little red dots actually on here, they look like mites. They're actually a type of chigger. And the interesting thing about these chiggers is that after a few days to weeks in captivity, they will actually leave the host. They'll drop right off. They won't stay with the host, and they won't infect other reptiles. So it's very interesting. So they do seem to feed on the snake or the lizard as well, but they don't stay in captivity for some reason. We're not sure why that is. But it's not unusual to see these on snakes that you find in the wild, and also other lizards. If you look closely enough, you can usually see them.
Site number 2, we're staring at a wall. If we're lucky, we might find a snake species or possibly even a race runner in the cracks. Well, we found a fox snake, but I don't think there's any chance we're going to get him out. Here we have a northern water snake. You can kind of follow him up behind that weed. We'll see how close we can get. It's actually partially out of the water there. I doubt we'll be able to catch him because he's just gonna take off. Well, it may be hot and muggy, but I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of nature out today, and up there is where the timber rattlesnakes should be. Man, it's gorgeous up here.
As long as you have long pants on.
Yeah, definitely need pants. These rocky outcroppings are the perfect habitat and the preferred habitat for timber rattlers. So seeing a nice big outcropping right here in a place that we have seen them in the past is promising. We're specifically looking at the fronts of these boulders. That's where the timber rattlers should be kind of curled up and basking right now, or just, you know, warming up for the day. And then when they're warm enough, they'll retreat underneath to cool off. And at this time of year, we're hoping to find gravid females because the males and the non-breeding females are down low, right?
That's right. So they hibernate on the bluffs here, and then the non-gravid females, the ones that are too young to be gravid, which means pregnant, and all the males will go down into the valleys, into the forests, and that's where they'll spend the summer because it's much cooler down there, and because it's cooler, it's easier to get around for these snakes, but it also attracts all their food. So that's where they spend, and then when the females the females will stay on this bluff and they will have their babies. They give live birth, and then as soon as they're done, they may retreat down into the forest or they may stay up here on the bluff. Thank you.
Notice the graceful Dave herping in the wilderness.
That was my herping ballet move.
See, this would be the perfect place to see a little timber rattlesnake because they can retreat underneath this cave if they're threatened by a predator. So I'm kind of surprised that we're not finding any yet, but we're still looking. If you're herping outside, one very important thing to keep in mind is to leave everything exactly the way it was once you leave. For example, if you're flipping rocks, which is what we do quite often while we're herping, because a lot of herps will, there's a lot of ants into that one, a lot of herps will chill, and a lot of animals in general will hang out under there because there's higher humidity under these rocks and logs. You want to put them back so you don't destroy those humidity levels underneath.
All right, so you can see where the grass is matted down here, and this is where a timber probably stayed for a little bit and sunned himself. And then over here, we can see the matted down grass here, and matted down grass right at the base of this rock. So they've been here today and they've been sunning themselves.
So they're around.
They are around.
Just a matter of finding where they are now.
Exactly.
Since I have the gaiters on, I have been volunteered to go first. Ooh, look, raspberry.
Ooh,
Ah.
ooh, piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy.
This is what leopard frogs do on hot days. I just heard that Jeff found a timber. Our first one. Oh, I can hear his rattle from here. He is not happy. Oh, wow, she's beautiful.
That is gorgeous.
She's a good size, too.
So she's a gravid female. She's out here getting some sun, cooking those embryos as much as she can before she'll drop. And usually these guys give birth in our area anyway, right around the first part of September.
The timber rattlesnake will breed every 2 to 3 years or so, and they'll give birth to about 7 to 12 young, which will stick around their mother for the first 2 weeks or so before dispersing on their own.
Now, everybody thinks that timber rattlesnakes and other snakes don't give any parental care once they have their brood. Once the babies are born, the mother seems to slither away and not take care of the babies. But there's a couple of studies that show that the mother is actually leaving a scent trail to a food source, that then the babies follow that scent highway right to a food source, and that's how these mothers are giving their babies parental care.
And here we have a nice, fresh timber rattlesnake shed, too. Look at that. The timber rattlesnake is actually a species of pit viper. So they have a single heat-sensing pit in between their eye and their nostrils, and that's what allows them to see the heat or the temperature in their prey, which consists of mostly field mice out here in southern Minnesota. A lot of people will tell you that the shape of a snake's pupil will tell you if it's venomous or not, but that is not true. The shape of the pupil just indicates whether the snake is nocturnal or diurnal for the most part. Elliptical pupils or slit-shaped pupils indicates that the snake is nocturnal, whereas round pupils typically means it's a diurnal species. So think about like boa constrictors. They're nocturnal, they have slit-shaped pupils, but they're not venomous at all. So that myth is debunked.
So everyone knows that rattlesnakes are different from other rattlesnakes because they were smart enough to evolve a rattle. And what that rattle is, and what its purpose is to scare off all the big bovine animals that used to wander around this area, like bison, for instance. But what a lot of people don't know is that the rattle is actually made out of the same stuff that your fingernails are made out of.
And a neat thing is when the rattlesnakes are first born, they have a single segment called a button at the end of their tail, and every time they shed thereafter, they add another segment.
But that rattle breaks off, so there's no way to really tell the age of a rattlesnake based on how long or how short that rattle is.
Although most of our snakes up in the Midwest have more of a blotchy pattern to them, the timber rattlesnake has these unique chevron-shaped designs down their back and on their side. And back into her cave she goes.
I like how when they crawl, they hold their rattle up in the air.
Yeah, that is really neat. I never knew that.
Southeast Minnesota timber rattlesnake.
Woohoo!
Woo, baby!
Oh, We just finished climbing down this like mountain of a hill, bushwhacking the whole way down. But you know what? That was worth it to see that timber rattlesnake. I think the gaiters are holding up quite well. It was pretty wet and muddy, but there's no frays or anything. These seem to be made of some pretty heavy-duty material here. And it was nice to have the peace of mind knowing that even though we weren't going to agitate that timber rattlesnake to the point where she would want to try to tag us, it was still nice knowing that if she did want to, these would be protecting my shins from snake bites. They're also surprisingly comfortable. I thought for sure they'd be feeling really bulky against my legs here, but I kind of forgot I was wearing them after like 3-4 minutes. It didn't take very long at all. The only drawback that I've found so far is if I take them off, my shins are going to be super sweaty, just drenched in sweat. But you know what? If a little sweat is all I have to endure in order to survive a snake bite, if that were to happen, I'd say it's worth it. So I would definitely approve of these Razer Gaiters. If you're interested in buying them, there is a discount code that's down in the description below. In case you're interested at all, I think they're really nice. So if you're gonna do any herping out in the wild where there's potentially venomous snakes, I think they're well worth the investment in order to potentially save your life. Wow, what a day. We are exhausted and we smell because there was a lot of climbing, a lot of physical exertion today, so I'm ready for a shower at some point. But you know what? It was totally worth it.
Totally worth it. I'm about to go jump in that river. I mean, geez, how can you be standing this close to me?
I have a bad sense of smell, so it works to my advantage on
well,
things
yeah,
like
this is working to your advantage because I can smell myself and it's not pretty.
But we saw all sorts of fun things today. We saw not
awesome.
only a timber rattlesnake, which was the first one I had ever seen in the wild.
It was so awesome.
Amazing. But we saw other really cool things too. So thank you for joining us on today's adventure. Don't forget to check out Dav Kaufman's Reptile Adventures, his YouTube channel. Comment below and let me know what your favorite reptile was that you saw today.
Or herper.
Or herper, yeah. Thanks again for watching and we'll see you next time. Woohoo! Sliding down.
You got it?
Ugh. Oh yeah, we're good. We're good.
So, as we said before, gravid females